Alright, give me just 1 second. Just trying to make sure everything's all set up and going. Alright, there we go. I've actually got display now, so that's good. I have not played this game in a long time. The screen's gonna pause for just a moment, because this game does not like being windowed out of at all. Oh, hello there, Batman. You were just waiting for this to start. Alright, so fortunately this is my favorite of all the games, so this is going to be a pretty easy one for me to talk about as I go through it, I believe. Unfortunately, I can't do too much about the not widescreen at all. That's just kind of the nature of the game, so I'll apologize for it looking like that. So this is probably the first Mega Man game that I ever played. As a result, it's probably the one that I have the most knowledge on, you know, save for maybe like Mega Man X or Mega Man 2 or 3, which are kind of some of my other favorites. This one's actually kind of regarded as a little bit of a, not exactly a fan favorite for a lot of people. And admittedly, I kind of disagree with that, because I feel like, unlike 5, which kind of felt like they were selling out to a certain degree. Hello, frame rate drop. Unlike Mega Man 5, which kind of felt like it was hitting a sellout point with the way that they were handling things, this one actually felt like they listened to a lot of the criticisms of 5 and kind of went like a little bit back on it. They focused on making a game that just had consistently good, you know, consistently good theme, as well as, I personally really like the multinational robot master tournament. Alright, let's see if I can get this. Nope. That's one of the tricks that I really try to hammer home whenever I'm actually speedrunning this. You can kind of bait him into jumping to the point to where you have just enough room to not get hit by him. Shit. I do want to try to get back into speedrunning this game. I won't say that my time was ever anywhere near the world records of this or anything, but this is definitely one of the games that, like, I got pretty decently good at running. I figure there's gonna be some rust this time, so I'm not too worried about my time. I am curious to see what my time is going to be with it, though. Nope, missed it that time as well. I really need to work on that. Alright, let's see if we can make this a little bit cleaner than that last attempt. So the one criticism I do have about this game is it suffers from a little bit of a problem where the controls have a tendency to just kind of stick, and not in a good way. Did I give up on Mega Man Legends? No, I did not. I was actually planning on doing my next episode of that here, probably either tomorrow or sometime here in the near future. I just got back from Christmas, so I'm a little bit slumped out and recovering from that still. I also just noticed that the chat log isn't working, so I'm going to try to fix that in just a moment. Windman, he's the easiest of the Robot Masters. He suffers from a quote-unquote weakness of the Buster, but not really. The charge shot in this is kind of powered down a little bit as compared to the Mega Man 5 counterpart, in which that one was just immensely powerful. Once we get back to the menu screen, I'm going to try to fix the chat log, by the way. Don't know why it's not up and running right now, but hopefully Hopefully I can fix it quick enough. Actually, I'll go ahead and take this moment. Yep, I know it's not showing up. I'm an idiot. My bad. There we go. But no, I have not given up on Mega Man Legends. It's just that I haven't really been here the whole entire time, so that's gonna be a game that I'm gonna jump back to once I kind of recover from the post-holiday slump. Yeah, I knew that section was going to go bad the moment that I missed that first Met. There we go. Let's see if we can get a better... That's how that's supposed to go a little bit. So mechanically, this game isn't too much more different from some of the older games. It's still got the slide, it's still got the charge shot. The charge shot has a little bit of a case where if you get damaged while you're in the middle of a jump or anything like that, it'll cause you to lose the charge, which is kind of a way to balance out how broken it was in Mega Man 4, where you could just carry a charge indefinitely. The slide in this game was slightly nerfed as well. Whenever you use the slide, you have to jump before you can cancel out of it and then make a second jump. It's really hard to explain, but if you've ever had any, if you've ever played through Mega Man 3 and seen the sliding in that, that is kind of universally regarded as like the best sliding mechanics, which this game does not have. And I will fully relent that is the case. I'm actually gonna make a quick trip down here to grab that E-Tank because heaven knows as well as my run's going so far, I'm gonna need it later. If I jump into the fire whenever it's like that, that is essentially the same thing as spikes. It's not the deadliest trap in the world, but it is, you know, kind of a tricky catch if you're not paying attention the first time through. Oh man, I'm on 0 lives already. Flame Man, he's probably one of my more personal favorite Robot Masters, but the fight himself is just a little bit, I wouldn't say bad, it's just kind of, he has an RNG move, and I've never been a fan of moves like that. There is like some semblance of a pattern to the way that he drops the flames on the ground, but I've never been able to really like kind of figure that out. So just to give a little brief overview of kind of the story of this one. 5 times we've already defeated Dr. Wily, we've thwarted his plans. This time we have this mysterious man who shows up named Mr. X, who is basically hosting a robot tournament. And he pretty much wants to take over the world by using the contestants from all of the winning countries. I'm actually gonna go for that life because shit do I need it. Alright, let's see if I can get out of there. Yes! Ridiculously tight window for that. And then straight into that other little section there with that sort of pixel perfect jump below the other guy. This is actually the first level that if I were writing a report, I would make a thesis for this game about why Flame Blast is the best weapon in the game. How's that for a jump? How's that for a slide straight into an enemy? Mini-boss. Mini-boss gone. I'm gonna switch back here because I need to save some of my ammo. Although I would love to get used to running this to a point to where I didn't have to switch right here, because those guys are annoying as piss. Can I do the one cycle? Yes. Yes, I can. Although I would argue it's not necessarily a one cycle, but that's kind of the way that I've always done it whenever I've done these runs before. And that's how long it takes to kill that guy without the, without having the overpoweredness that is the Flame Blast. All those floors are ice, so if I'm moving on those, I'm actually, like, carrying momentum. So in order to kind of counter that, I've just basically stopped pressing movement keys while I'm jumping through the air. Try to get myself horizontally where I want to be, and then I just stop, and then that prevents that. This is Chill Penguin before Chill Penguin was himself. Shitty attack followed by the worst fucking invulnerability thing ever. And he loves to spam it. So the Flame Blast in this game is just this little simple thing. It just drops, you know, pretty close in front of you, leaves a little pillar of flames that's ultimately not too terribly bad, but the real value of it is it just has such a high damage output for a move that you can just absolutely spam. Blizzard Attack only lets you have one attack on the screen at a time. It causes a lot of frame rate lag, and it's just a shitty weapon overall. Plant Man is a robot master where I hate the weapon, but I love the design of the robot himself. I seem to be kind of a... There we go. That was an example of that jump I was trying to do earlier, messed up by poor ladder play. A lot of the community seems to universally just dislike Plant Man and his design, but I've always been pretty fond of it myself. These mini-bosses, once again, that fight takes a lot longer without the Flame Blast. Have to be careful about those, because if you jump on them, then you get hit by spikes and you lose. Now, if I were to actually start practicing this game again, I would love to get used to doing this part with just keeping the Flame Blast the whole time. Unfortunately, I'm not that confident in my shots to where I can say that I could do that. This part is really tricky because you have a lot of these spring platforms combined with these fish that kind of come through. There we go. This one's gonna have a fish in it. We're almost to the home stretch of this level. Whew! Okay. That is my choke level right there. I say that after having nearly died in every level before this, but that is the level that I usually choke the most on, and it's because of those damn springs, and that's how I can kind of tell if I've got a good run of this or not. Whoops. Being a little bit extra aggressive with our friend Plant Man there. We managed to get a kill out of it. That wasn't the cleanest run. The Plant Barrier, not a very good shield weapon, but you do get the Rush Jet adapter from here, which is probably one of the coolest things that they've added. You can kind of tell that because of the fact that it shows up in Mega Man 7 as an actual usable item and in Mega Man 8 in the cutscenes. So the theme of this is obviously the robot masters are all from different worlds now. So for America, they use Tomahawk Man. I personally think that that part of it where they use like the different countries for the robot masters actually gives like a really fresh sort of feel towards the game. It kind of justifies some of the designs that they use, and I just personally enjoy some of the designs. Mini boss just torn to shreds. I didn't get that one in time. I hope that was a 1-up, because I could desperately use some right now. Whew, okay. Bait that guy. That went a lot better than the other ones. I actually made it through an entire section of that without getting hit, so that's always good. Shit, not what I wanted. Thought I could make it through there. We could go in there and get the energy balancer from Proto Man, but nah. Tomahawk Man is a pretty hard-hitting boss, so I always do get a little bit concerned about getting into fights with him, especially with low health. But overall, as long as he just, you know, plays his cards right, it should be just a simple DPS race. Ah, damn it. And now we're actually going to have to fight the boss legit, because unfortunately this is the boss that has the unfortunate annoyance of, oh, let's just give you just enough ammo to defeat him. I was really hoping I could make that my clutch of the run. This guy, I think, gave me some trouble during my Buster-only run as well. Alright, I'm gonna actually pop an E-Tank here. For shame. There we go. Well, we'll get him, but it was definitely a dirty victory. Like, that was not clean at all. Hopefully the rematch with him will go a little bit better. I was trying to stand just a little bit too close to him at all times. I really needed to kind of be more reactive rather than trying to be proactive on him. Silver Tomahawk, though, is a pretty good weapon. It's one of the few kind of vertically scrolling weapons of the game. It's not too bad, but it's, you know, there's always better, I would say. Next up is Yamato Man. One of my personal favorite designs, but honestly, the boss fight itself isn't too terribly exciting. You know what, that is right there. I'm gonna need to switch to the jet at some point anyway, so let's just go ahead and... Oh god. Well, I'm glad I picked up that 1-up. Fuck it, we're just gonna go the secret route on this one. So this route takes us a little bit around, you know, off the beaten path, but we have Flame Blast, so we have the ability to beat this little mini boss. And then we also get a cameo appearance by going this direction, I believe, of an enemy that... no, actually, I think it doesn't matter. But, this enemy coming up here... Oh, never mind, that's at a later part of the level. And of course there's fish there, because why wouldn't there be? If there's any jump that you think, you know, may have enemies that jump up out of them, that is a common rule in Mega Man games that they absolutely will. Never mind, I thought this, I think it's the upper path that does. Tomahawk Man's fight, nothing too terribly special. He throws his spear, or he'll jump into the air and he'll do a little tri-spear that he throws down at us. That thing has like a little, like, baby aimbot attached to it. You actually want him to miss with the horizontal spear throw that he does, especially if he's like way away from the wall. As you saw, he ran for quite some time to go and retrieve the spearhead. Yamato's spear is basically the Mega Buster, but more inaccurate. So it will get a whole, like, 2 uses, I think, throughout the run. Nightman's probably my favorite Robot Master design of this game. I think that there's just something really cool about a Robot Master that just has a Knight helmet. I think that the Spike Ball weapon is really cool. The weapon itself isn't super useful, unfortunately. It doesn't get much action throughout the game, but still just a cool thing to see. If I were feeling more confident, I would have ran to the second one, and I need to get used to doing that if I'm gonna... Let's see if I can do this cycle, though. Yep. Whew! It's a large damage boost to get through there in one piece, but that saves so much time. But yeah, like, I think that this, like, just everything about Nightman is just great. Like, I think that some of the enemy selection fits really well. I really love this sort of castle aesthetic. Shit. Oh god, I knew that was happening. I knew that was coming up. See, that's how that usually goes for me. I'm gonna have to either sacrifice and get a continue here soon, or maybe... Yeah, thank you, Eddie, for throwing me solid. One problem that I have with the game is that occasionally, like outside of the slide sticking, sometimes the controls themselves just like to not properly read your inputs. Which isn't a problem most of the time, because like usually it'll happen at places where I can handle it. But in particular, like it's kind of killed a few of my runs before because of just poor placement of it in opportune times. Sometimes I'll hit a frame lag and then it'll drop my input, or sometimes I just suck. One of the things that people commonly commentate on this game is that a lot of the Robot Masters, they joke that for the Robot Tournament that they basically put pogo sticks in a lot of the Robot Masters' legs. So Nightman, for example, spent half that fight just jumping at me rather than actually swinging his mace. Thanks to the Yamato Spear, we were actually able to pierce through his shield, which would have otherwise prevented us from hitting him. Which, if we were doing a Buster-only run, that would actually be really beneficial, because that means we would get a lot of free charge shots on him while he's jumping in the air like that. And finally, a really cool Robot Master design. I think I actually said at one point he's one of my favorite Robot Masters, and I still stand by that. I think that there's just something cool about a half-robot, half-horse robot. That sounded horrible to say. Damn it. Could wait for that to explode, but we're in a hurry. This is probably, like, his level is not one of my favorite levels, but I do give this credit and probably wins my award for one of the cooler water levels in a Megaman game. You have your traditional, oh god, there's spikes on this floor and ceiling and I have to make careful jumps to accommodate it, but then you also have, coming up, like, this next part is like my favorite stage gimmick, and I wish there was more with this. Oh god, jump! Hey, remember how I was saying that the controls sometimes decide to just stick for no reason? Well, that's what happened there. Sometimes the game is just, like, feeling like it's just missing too many frames, so rather than being like, hey, let's do something sensible and just slow down the game just a tad more, it goes, no, you didn't really want to jump. Come on, Eddie. Alright. If I don't get a game over before I make it to the Mr. X stages, which I really sincerely hope that I don't, considering like I'm like 90% of the way through this level, I'll definitely be sacking for a game over in the interests of not being halfway through a level and having to repeat it. No, like, there are multiple boss gates in this particular game. I opt to never really go for them because beat, which is the reward from all of them, in this game is really ultimately useless. Like, in 5, during my Mega Marathon, I actually was almost required to get him in order to have like a smooth run of Wily. In this game, it's honestly more of a detriment to get him, just because of the fact that you had to go so far out of your way to get him. That's actually a pretty good fight of Centaur, man. He can spend a lot of time just teleporting away from you and becoming invincible to your attacks, so you're not really able to hit him during that time. The more time he spends just firing his projectiles across the stage and running towards them, that is, you know, all the better. Especially if he's not Centaur flashing during that. Alright, we go straight into the X stages. I'm going to be getting an intentional game over here, as well as taking a brief water break while this is loading up. There is a secret, God, like, the problem is, like, to get to the secret, it's like 3/4 of the way through this level. I'm gonna give it a shot. Worst case scenario, I end up nailing the secret, and then I won't have to sacrifice for a game over anyway. Worst case scenario, I waste some time. If I get a game over before I get to it, or in the attempt to get to it, then I just won't worry about it. Alright, so this is the part where it gets tricky. I have to jump on these. Ah, damn it, so close. Well, as long as we're not dead, let's give it another shot. Awesome, we did it! I'm not even gonna lie, like, that was kind of I was surprised that I got that. Like, usually it takes me, like, a lot more than I would like for it to attempts to get that. So that essentially skips, like, the entire level, and now we have 4 extra lives to work with. No regrets on attempting that. Actually, wait, isn't the Flame Blast better here? I think it is. Yeah, Flame Blast just absolutely decimates them. I think landing that right there honestly makes up for at least like 2 of like the 3 deaths that I've had, or I've had more than 3 deaths. I've picked up life since then. But I think that it at least like makes up for at least a couple of them. I'm actually going to go down here and pick up ammo for the Flame Blast. Wait for those guys to explode. That is a much scarier jump than it seems to be. Now we need to switch over to the jet adapter. In typical Mega Man fashion, they want you to switch to your adapters that you've acquired over the game. Thought I could boost over those guys. So if I was going for raw speed in this game, like if I didn't care about anything else but just going through this as fast as possible, it is actually a little bit slower to constantly fly with the jet because whenever the thrusters activate, it actually has just a moment of extra lag from using it like that. I believe this is going to be the second to final showing of the Tomahawk. Yep. This is the area where my Buster only run came to an end. This boss is deceptively hard to Buster down. However, he is extremely easy with his weakness. Like, most of the fight just basically involves standing in that, like, one little spot that I was and just dodging rocks when they come down, or just soaking them because you have so much health. I don't need to go for the health. Don't really need to go for the E-Tank up here, but why not? I'm mostly playing safe for later, so hopefully I can save myself a little bit of heartache from messing around and, you know, kind of just general end-game choking. It would take a lot of time to fight him, or I can just fly over his head. Thank you. Not so thank you. Shit. I was actually kind of banking on one of those shots to hit me in the head. It never happened. Shit. I say this is probably, well, actually, like, it's honestly well too late for me to beat my personal best at this point. My personal best, I believe, is somewhere around a 45, I think like 42 was the final score that I got on it. Alright, let's just play this just a little bit safer and just take the damage boost option. A little bit too much damage boost. I don't think that there is any major difference between taking both paths aside from the fact that this way you don't have to... You get one less menu swap with this way. I am feeling a little bit nervous about my health right now. Aha, thank goodness. Unintentional, non-scripted moment. I cannot remember which boss this is. If I remember correctly, actually, I think with this guy, it's honestly easier just to... I'm actually going to pop an E-Tank because I am a wimp. Because this boss does a lot of damage. Yeah, these next two bosses, I think it's just easier just to boxing glove down. This one wasn't so much intentionally designed for it, but the next boss coming up, like, just whenever we get there, you'll see why I say that it's just better just to use the boxing glove. I think he's technically weak against the Flame Blast. Oh well. Have to make sure that I'm hugging the wall for that. And I believe this is the correct one. This level sucks in particular because those birds suck in particular. And right there is case in point as to exactly why, and that's actually the safer of the bird sections that I'll go through. I believe it's better just to go to the right here. Going for that tank. I kind of paused there for a moment to take the damage boost and just basically let him hit me from the safer side of that. This is the final boss of the Mr. X part. I want you to pay attention to a couple of things. First of all, look at how Mr. X looks and tell me if he looks familiar. Second of all, it's boxing training. Whoops, I missed one. Second of all, typo coming up. My scheme for world domination has failed. Oh, by the way, it was Wily all along. Yeah, I don't think I'm making it through 4 levels in 5 minutes, so I'm definitely not going to be making my personal best, but I should still be able to clear this in under an hour. Actually gonna come up here and pick that up just so I can do some extra damage boosting through here. Not the scariest spike sections ever, but whew! We can sure make them scary though. There's actually a way that I can take that lets me out right down there, I believe. Oh no, it's right there. Man, it would really suck to have to fight that guy, wouldn't it? I think you can do the same thing with this guy. Yep. If I remember correctly, the next one coming up is Yamato's Spear, because we are about to kill Littlefoot. So I have to hit an enemy in a very precise hitbox with a weapon that pretty much doesn't go in a consistent straight line. Like as I'm firing this, it'll go off in one of 3 directions, and I just wasted all my ammo for it. That's another issue with the weapon. It's not so much that it's a bad weapon, it's just that for being the same as Mega Buster weapon, it doesn't have anywhere near enough ammunition to kind of account for switching over to it as opposed to just using the Buster. We'll pick this up because it's free. Do some curling while we're at it. Oh man, it would really suck if I had to go through and do this whole entire section of Yoku blocks. It would also really suck if the Flame Blast weren't as amazing as it is. There we go. I was trying to... If you can angle that shot just right, you can get it just behind his shield. And then you don't have to wait for him to kind of lower the shield again to kind of get to it. So I actually am going to recharge my Yamato Spear a little bit just so that I can have an easier time with Nightman in the refight. And that's honestly all the ammunition I'm going to need for him. Don't know why I was charging up all those times. I probably should have just ran straight through. If I remember, this one is going to be what I consider the derp tank. This boss just looks silly. He fires bubbles at you. And he's gone. It's kind of like the lamest of the robot, the Wily or X bosses that you fight. Like, even the guys from X Stage 1 are really terrifying because they have, like, the rails that they go on and they move really fast. This guy just kind of really slowly lumbers at you, and admittedly, if you're not using the weakness for it, he does put up a little bit more of a fight, but honestly, it's just nothing. Go ahead and go for that because it's free. I practically had no choice but to get it. I'm just refilling my weapons while I have a chance here. Once again, we kind of don't have much of a choice there. And hopefully we can get some good starting bosses so that I can kind of get refilled a little bit easily. Okay, so Yamato Man is the Silver Tomahawk. There we go. I mean, it's not the best fight ever, but we're pretty much done with that. Playman should give me a little bit of a boost. Damn it. Fired too early. I basically want to always have him in damage animation whenever I get the chance to. Alright, we got a little bit of a charge from him. And as I said, we have more than enough Yamato Spear to deal with him. More than enough being one shot left over. Even if I had to fight him legitimately, it's not like it was going to be a big deal. I could not have asked for a better Centaur Man fight. Introducing Centaur Man's weapon, the Centaur Flash. And that has been Centaur Man's weapon, the Centaur Flash. Alright, Tomahawk Man, let's get a better fight with you going on. I'll take it. That's how that fight should have went. So what I did there differently was I kind of kept my distance a little bit more, so he was less able to get as many attacks on me as he usually does. I wouldn't say that was a flawless Flame Man, but that was one of my better fights with him. I wish I could have gotten him just like with almost always having damage on him. But you can't have everything. Come on, yes, thank you. Probably one of the better fights of Blizzard Man. He only got one roll on us. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to clock in under 50 minutes, I don't believe. But that's fine. I had like 4 deaths in this one, so I couldn't really ask for anything, you know, more. You can just barely hit the tip of that guy whenever you use that, so we go into this final fight. If I remember correctly, yep. I could use the weaknesses, but it's just a lot easier just to go in with the fist power. There's phase 1. Phase 2 gets a little bit trickier. Mostly because he can jump wherever now. Usually, namely, right on top of you. I'm gonna pop an E-Tank just to be sure, since I've got them. Probably one of the easier Wily capsules. Mostly because he doesn't do as much damage as he usually does with them, so even if you're like really screwing it up like I am, although I do need to play a little bit safe here. Alright, I'm gonna have to switch over to using regular people gun. I'm actually going to pop another E-Tank because I do not want to redo this fight. And that's it. That is the game. That went about as well as I expected it to. I would have liked at least one less death than what I got, but I ended up making it through that one really awesome skip that I wanted to do, so it's not so much a skip as much as it is just actually not sucking at making that little jump. But yeah, with that, this is just kind of a nice little way to kind of kill some time and just get through the game, and Mega Man Legends should be coming either tomorrow or the next day. Definitely some point before New Year's, and then whenever New Year's happens, I don't know what's gonna happen, because that's gonna be an interesting night for me. I'm just gonna let this kind of play through, at least to the rolling part of the credits. I think that this game had, like, a lot of recovery from Mega Man 5, though. Like, I personally did not care for a lot of Mega Man 5, and, like, this was kind of their apology to what they did there. They made the Buster a lot more reasonable. They made really interesting-looking Robot Masters with a lot more interesting final bosses in the Wily and Mr. X stages. The music has always been top-notch, and, like, just in terms of, like, the graphical display, like, I feel like they really pulled out all the stops. Like, by this point, the Super Nintendo, I believe, was actually already going, so, I mean, like, this was, you know, absolute end-of-the-line Nintendo era, so definitely they needed to have, you know, like, a really high graphical quality if they were going to make a Nintendo game over a Super Nintendo game. I feel like they did a good job of accomplishing that. They, you know, they put this all to its limits, and they did a really good job with it. It's not a perfect game. I wish that the slide were better. I wish that the charge and vulnerability were a little bit less awful, but, you know, those are little small complaints over the grand scheme of what was Mega Man 5, which I still don't hate that game. I just really don't care for it that much. We're just about to the rolling part of the credits here. all in all, if you haven't played this game and you want to, I would strongly recommend that you give this a try for yourself. You might find yourself actually enjoying it. Other than that, Mega Man 11 is going to be coming out at some point. Not sure exactly when they've said, like sometime 2018, so I mean, that's going to be something to look forward to on the channel whenever that releases, because I will definitely be playing that whenever it comes out. I'm hoping that it'll kind of hold up to the test of time. I'm hoping that they put some actual thought and care into it, which, from everything that I've seen so far, it seems like they are. So I'm really hopeful for that myself. Alright, and now we're at the rolling part of the credits. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. Thank you guys for watching, and you know, just be sure to tune in next time if you want to see something else. I'm usually streaming now, at least a video a month seems to kind of be like the one promise I do make, but even in saying that, I'm not going to commit to it. So, you know, just check back whenever you can, and hopefully I'll have some new videos out. Until then, you guys take care.